figure things out if you're okay.
That's why I brought the board out of there.
Well,
You could even steal one of the rolling chairs from
I
in
gotta
there
sit.
and sit next to Ernie.
Too much sitting, I'm gonna stand.
So yeah,
Sweatshirts?
one thing that I was asked about was, what is the spiritual purpose of the tech team in relation to the church? And so the tech team, I mean, first of all, it's a team. And then if you think of how the church is a body and we're all members of that body, and what was that? I don't remember where that scripture is, but I know Ephesians 4 is unity in the body. And how we all work together to create one whole purpose for the glory of God. That's kind of what goes into it. So it's not just the musicians playing, it's not just the tech team, but it's working together along with church leadership. Serving on the tech team, it's an act of worship. Service is an act of worship. We're using our spiritual gifts to serve the Lord. In Psalm 33, it says for musicians to play skillfully, but it's just asking them for their excellence. And back here, we have the opportunity to give our excellence, our first fruits to the Lord with what we do. You know, it's not something passive we just do. It's something that we are actively worshiping with while doing this work. And then one of the basic things is when we're excellent back here, it usually means there's not a lot of mistakes up there, and people aren't distracted during worship. And that leads me into the last thing is, even though we're back here in the booth, we're all worship leaders, helping the church to lead worship and glorify God together. You know, if there's something that happens funky with the sound, it causes people to lose focus. They turn around and look at you instead of keep worshiping. There are some people who are really good at putting distractions out of their mind and really focusing on the Lord, but there's a lot of people that something goes wrong, whether it's a slide or something sound-wise. So that's why we do excellence, but that's why you're leading worship. And even with slides, like think about slides. If the words aren't put up on time, they're going to stop singing because they don't know the words. Yep. So that's why it's always important to be on time with the slides, on time with turning on the sound when it's needed. And so our attitude also affects how we do things. You know, if we're coming in not in the right place, angry or something, that's going to affect how we run sound. It's going to affect how we run slides. And so just know that what you're doing here is not just a job, but it is an act of spiritual worship, of service to not only the church, but to the Lord. And so that's the most important part. Now some pop quizzes. Do you know what this cable is called?
The one cable.
The one cable.
Patch cable.
I wish it was a patch cable.
Quarter inch.
Quarter inch. So yeah. Some people also call it the guitar cable because you see guitarists plug it in. So this is a type of cable. It's a quarter-inch cable. It looks like a big, thick aux cord that you use for your car. Important cable to know. Anybody know what this one is?
XLR.
That's the mic. That's the mic.
Yeah, the mic cable or the XLR. It's got the round head and 3 pins. Just these are some important cables to know. Those are the 2 basic ones. And then this is called a direct box. And it pretty much transforms one cable, the quarter inch, to the XLR, because the quarter inch cable you can only run about 10 feet before there's noise introduced into the signal. And so when we want to do long distance audio runs, we want to use the XLR instead of the quarter inch. So like anytime there's a guitar or a keyboard, I would suggest going doing the 1/4 inch from the keyboard into a direct box, and then take the XLR into the stage box, which then comes back here.
Right.
The XLR is your friend. It's called a balance cable. But questions about cables? Anything so far?
Do you have a RCA cable up there? We do have one or two of those.
There's one back here. I'm not going to pull it out. Yeah, it's got these. Oh, no, it's just a 1/4 inch. Never mind. I don't have an RCA cable with me, but
Basically, it's what goes behind your CD player,
yeah,
what to be able to
there's
go
stuff
in.
like, yeah.
If you've ever plugged in a DVD player or anything like that, yeah.
Right, yep, there you go.
Ethan, do you know these cables, or am I the only one? Because they're spending a lot of time, and I think I'm the only one. Do you know these different cables?
All I don't
Should've had-
do, I
There's also
really
a
want
range.
anything that
Before
you
I tried
that.
I almost created a sheet with stuff.
Donna, before I started
ran out of
going
time.
senile, I knew the name of all these cables too.
That's fine, I got it, I took it.
I still know what they are, but sometimes the wording escapes this older head.
There's also a smaller one called 1/8 inch cable that's.
Right,
that's
right.
used. You have one plugged into your sound?
Yeah, so this is the 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter. It's the aux cable that you all know.
Headphones
That's
often
what we
use it.
have to use, that's what I have to use up there for my Avion, to put my earbud
Right,
in.
right.
That's that one right
Right,
there.
headphones, all that
With an
stuff.
adapter, I got the adapter on the
I guess what I'm
Avion.
saying is if I'm the only one who doesn't know the chord names, we're good.
Oh, okay.
We can move forward.
It'll be a test.
Right.
Actually, we're gonna mix them all on my earphones.
So yeah, so the basic way, the signal flow of audio, is you have your source, so like a guitar or a keyboard or piano or something, a mic. It goes through the cable. Up there, it goes into a 4-pocket, and then it goes to that stage box. There's a big box back there with a bunch of cables plugged into it. That's the stage box. And then that actually travels through Ethernet to the board so that you don't have to have 20 XLR cables coming back to the board doing a 200-foot run.
You mean the big snake is a thing of the past?
Pretty much.
These days, yes.
Yeah.
With networked audio, it's beautiful.
Or digital board.
Yeah, digital boards, yeah, you just need the one Ethernet cable, except you usually want to run multiple Ethernet cables just in case. I've had that happen during a service. One went out and you're like, oh, okay.
Do we do that?
We actually have 2 separate boxes up there. One feeds over there. And using that cable feeds for that, and then we got one for this. But no, we don't have redundancy on the main.
Okay.
Unless you want to start crawling up there.
Well, I thought we crawled under there.
No, it's up there.
It's up there?
Yep. You can walk from front to back.
It's hot.
Oh, I've never been up there.
Yep. So anyway, the signal comes to the board through the Ethernet. Then it goes out through the Ethernet back to that stage box. And then it goes into the amps. That's what powers the speakers. And then from the amps, it goes to the speakers. So you need a couple things. You need the source of whatever, a bunch of cabling. Then you need your mixer. And then you need amps. And then finally your speakers. That's basic signal flow. Questions so far? None? Beautiful. Okay. Now we can start coming to the board to look at that. So the way I have this set up is, you should get up here. There you go. So the way I have this board set up is on this first channel bank, right there. We have the drums and any percussion, Then we moved to guitars, and then keyboards, and so forth and so on, other instruments.
So Jonah, did you rearrange this today, or is this still?
No, this has been
from?
since I've been
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Well, this is all
Yeah.
pre-existing.
And then, yeah, that second layer of channels is vocals on the left, and then talker mics on the right. And I say talker mics because those are speakers up there. You gotta differentiate the two when you're talking.
Can they be offset so I can see the, like, off to the?
Oh, he wants you to move.
Just a little bit off.
Feed something like the
Yeah,
Dulcimer.
there you go.
Yes.
You could be beside it and look.
Like the Dulcimer has a mic rather than a plug-in.
Right.
And so does Jared's guitar, because he
Right.
can't fit into the system.
Essentially, it's set up so that it's like in sections or groups of instruments.
How you set that up with the different sections, because otherwise we would just ramble it. Is that set up for every scene? Whenever it's turned on, it'll have all those sections?
No, every scene can be different.
It's stored though, we got a storage setting.
So
Yeah.
I guess my point is that takes a special knowledge to set up all the sections, and you want
Yes,
that done,
yes.
then, so you don't get in the weeds on stuff. And
Right.
you can always, then everyone knows.
Just like you're building your new section, you have to come with a plan of where do I want things, how do I want things set up. Every sound engineer is different where they like things set up on the board. The nice thing with digital, especially this board, is it's easier to drag and drop in some of the routing settings. And if you want to learn how to do that, there's YouTube videos, there's all sorts of online material
Upper
where you
right
can learn
button down there, that's the on-off.
where to do all that.
On the power, yeah, on the front.
Right
You
there.
can go
on the
back in
upper-
front of it now, I can't see anything either.
So anyway, that's the basic thing. Now is the most important principle in audio, the most important one,
Write this down.
called gain, G-A-I-N. Whew.
Not to be confused with volume.
Right, right. They are two different things.
Get back over here again.
And we're gonna practice this. Everybody's gonna practice this. I'm gonna watch you do it.
All right.
Because I'm a teacher, so it's like, oh, we gotta do something practical. So gain is the input, I'm not gonna say volume control, but it is the input control for how much signal comes into the board. So typically without gain, there's not enough signal. So we want to gain it up, we want to increase that volume into the board, that signal into the board. Keeping in mind, by the way, signal is electrical energy. Audio is electrical energy. It's transformed, anyway. And so we have preset kind of goals, expectations, where we want to set the gain. And this is for every channel. It's the same way for every channel, we just get to set it differently. So the way we set gain is like during sound check. I'm gonna reset that. During sound check, we have our mic, test, but we don't do it with our ears. We only do gain with our eyes, visually. And so the way to do that is you find your channel, which is this mic on the end here. We push solo so that you can see the metering over here. You can also find the metering right here.
Wait, I want to see. I'm the blonde in the group, so.
No, that's fine. So we have our channel right here on the end. Notice it's not up, it's muted, all that fun stuff. We click solo so that we see it right here, metering, and then there's a meter.
Can I ask a dumb question?
You know,
Go
If
for it.
this is soloed, why is this showing up?
So solo only affects that meter.
Okay, so
All
it's
the
not
me-
going to show
yeah,
that. Okay.
All the meters work, no matter what, whether you have it mute, and it will still,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So we solo the channel, and then there's, in this first thing with the 48, the LC, this is called the input section. You see this gain knob right down here. I tell people you need to sing your loudest, well, not your loudest, but the loudest you're going to be during service, or play the loudest you're going to be during service. And then we slowly adjust that gain, watching the meter, watching the meter, watching the meter, watching the meter. You see that orange? That's where we want to get to, where we start to see the orange or the yellow. That's our
Are these the same?
yes, they're roughly the same. That's our benchmark, to start to see the yellow or the orange. That tells us that we're getting enough signal input into the board. Now, if we go all the way, we'll start to clip into the red. We don't want that, but we want to be right where that orange starts. It's usually around -18 to -12 on that meter. And that's how we know the gain is set correctly. Then we can unmute it and turn it up, and then now it's in the speakers. So you do that.
Can you do a demonstration of what that would sound like with the gain way down?
So-
I just want to hear I like contrasts.
Here's no gain at all the way down, no gain. And the fader's all the way up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you're only adjusting the main, not the stage monitor.
Oh, so that's a good thing to bring up. Gain adjusts everything. It's the first thing you get to adjust. And so it adjusts the monitors, the live stream, the mains, everything. That's why it's so important, because if you start off on the wrong foot, then everything else is going to be wrong, and you're trying to play compensate and catch up everywhere else, which makes it worse oftentimes. But if you start right, then usually most things kind of fall right into order. So that's why gain is so important. Cool. Any questions on gain?
So you do it only by the meter and not by, you'll know that whatever that is, gain is 32 or whatever. You don't like say, oh, the mics should be at 32, whatever. Each one's individual and you will meter them all.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really necessarily go on the number of the gain for
No.
one to another.
And that's
No.
part of what should happen when we do the individual sound check.
Right.
Is that because some people sing louder than others?
Yes, exactly.
He would be a 20, or 15, or he'd be 15.
Yeah, so everybody has different volumes. Sometimes the keyboardist likes to turn up his keyboard in the middle of the
I have a snappy rebuttal, but I'm not going to say anything. I will well that.
And so, yeah, gain has to be the first thing that happens before you start mixing. Again, it's done with your eyes. Don't turn it up and then start doing it, because that's one of the biggest mistakes. They turn it up, they turn the fader up to like 0, and then they adjust it. But that loses some consistency.
Where do you suggest putting the fader?
The fader is the last thing you adjust.
You want to leave it on 0?
It can be down to -30, -20. It's
So you have the fader all the way down at the bottom.
at the moment because it's off.
Okay,
But
but
like-
for us to do gain, that's where it should be.
Yeah, off or all the way down or muted.
Okay.
If you started with the fader and then did gain, it may sound good in here, but the live stream will sound terrible.
Yeah.
Right, because yes.
Well, the way the live stream is going to be set up on here, yeah. Well, it's been set up, but
Yeah.
so that, yeah, the gain you got to start off right
So if we get this gain piece corrected, that's gonna help with our online.
potentially, yes.
Okay.
Well, and that's also more, it adds consistency from week to week. If everybody understands, this is how I set gain, this is the standard, that will create consistency in some of the mixing versus, oh, I'm just turning it up because it's too soft, but I'm not checking. Yeah. Now, gain should also be set it and forget it. So you need a good sound check to set it, because during service you don't want to be adjusting it unless you like really have to, like it's clipping and it's, but.
So here's one of the things that sometimes happens with us, and I'm not up here Sunday morning, so I'm speaking off of what I observe. But we have band practice Wednesday night, and we have things set, like we save the settings.
Yeah.
And then they come in, and that's what we load on Sunday morning. Is that kind of pointless by what you're saying? Because we're going to go through and do a different sound check Sunday morning?
Not necessarily.
Sometimes we get different people, unfortunately.
Right. The nice thing about a small church is usually it's the same people on the same instruments. So a lot of times, well, sometimes, so a lot of times you don't even have to recheck the gain. Like you just look at it, oh, it's good.
Okay.
But most of the time you're not going through the whole process of like, oh, I gotta redo all the structure and redo all the gaining and.
Because on average, Johnny's somebody who's there all of the time. His
Right.
gain is going to be pretty consistent.
Right.
Or should be.
The fader might possibly change, right, but not the gain.
The what?
The fader possibly, depending on.
Yeah, depending on what sound, but.
And how many
But you
people
check
are
the
in here.
gain regardless.
You check it, you do a quick check, just to make sure, but then otherwise, yeah, it should be fine. It especially is different when you get different people playing, who have different volumes, different instruments. That's when you really want to make sure you're going through the whole process. But otherwise, most of the time it should stay similar. It's just you need to do a quick visual check.
Just took a little bit of a break.
So I would still like, if, and again, I'm the blonde, so.
No, you're fine.
So like, if something happened and I was stuck doing board Sunday morning, we should all know kind of where our averages are. Like I should know Johnny lives somewhere around 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then when I go through and check, I want to make sure the gain's set there, but I also want him to talk into the mic at the volume he thinks is going to be his maximum.
And talking is usually softer than singing, by the way.
So
Typically.
then that may be something,
There are some people who they're opposite.
yeah,
I know some people who they sing softer than they talk, and it's like, okay.
that's weird.
That would be-
But then I want to check it and I want to make sure that when he does that, I'm still seeing that it's hitting just a couple of orange.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then and then after that you can start adjusting the fader. And again, the fader some will be higher than others and some will be lower. They don't all have to be at that 0 or straight across. All those pictures of soundboards that were the fader straight across, ooh, it's wrong.
Well, I think that
Tell me
was
how you
old
really
school.
feel, Joe.
Huh?
Tell me how you really feel.
Ooh. Don't get me started.
That was old school. That's the way they used to teach it.
Yeah, so yeah, that was old school. They would adjust gain after the fader, after setting the fader. But
Yeah, because that's how we started out. We were messing with the gain during service. I remember doing that.
yeah,
And the one thing that's going to help back here is if everybody up there is consistent with that microphone, like don't stand back here and then all of a sudden like this and go back and forth because it's going to drive you nuts on your slider.
Try to eat the microphone if you can.
right.
Or at least stay in the same spot every time.
Yeah. And so like,
Sometimes you look back at Mary Ann and she has that thing way out there and she's not getting close to it. And
Yeah, it makes hard to pick up.
That's why the
Right.
sound guys make the big bucks.
oh, and I mean sound. It's not just an audio. I'm using my ears. It's a very visual element. We're setting gain with those meters, but we also need to look on stage to see what's going on. Why am I not getting a lot of signal? Well, Mary Ann's like 4 feet from her mic. And then I get to yell out, Mary Ann!
eat your mic.
So, I mean, there's that element. Sometimes something's wrong on stage, sound-wise, and they're trying to give you hand signal cues to mute my mic or... And so you gotta be able to watch that, or just watching people's ears, like some people in the congregation start going like this
Yeah.
because it's too loud, that's an indication. Or if they're like, they can't hear, or if they're not singing, sometimes that's an indication the sound isn't loud enough if they're not singing. So, you know, your eyes play a big role in doing sound. Who wants to try gain first? Practically, good. I'm trying to load Spotify. It's not going so well.
By try, you mean go up there and see about setting it?
No, you
Yeah.
go out here and set it. So
Yeah.
that's another, like, do you have it,
Do you want me to turn on the keyboard and try and have a different signal? Or
Oh, here it comes.
Okay, so you put it back to the home screen. No, you didn't?
Straight down and get up. If you want to do it.
Yeah, so, yep, there you go.
Oh, no, I did that on purpose. I just wanted to see if the screens would change.
Yep, they changed.
That's my concern, like, that's one of the things, like, going through here. So gain is always on the home screen.
Gain, yeah, gain is home, and then you see that second, oh, you can see it right there, and so it's right there.
Sure.
You can also go to that second little piece, and this has gain at the bottom as well. So either or.
So why would the blonde want this screen?
Huh?
Why would the blonde want that screen?
This screen has a couple more extra things, like it's got phantom power, which is for condenser mics like that, which is 48 volts.
So what you're saying is I don't want that screen.
You don't necessarily need it.
Okay, I like that. I can do that.
Open mic and fire, open fire machine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know, I thought about taping that down.
Actually, you just hand me my notebook.
Turn it on, Joe.
Thank you.
So to set that, you do solo.
Ethan, get up.
no, where?
Well, he was actually gonna be the first one to
Told him to stand up.
I don't want to stand.
Ah, why'd you bring your dad?
Okay,
So-
so we hit solo
Yeah,
and then do this until you get to, go ahead and go it the rest of the way. Okay,
That's too hot?
too much, yep.
Remember, watch her.
and go up one,
Yeah, you're looking at the
It's
meters.
on enough.
go up to, see, there's your first
There you go.
orange.
Yep,
A little bit more. Oh, there we go.
Because you want to go for the loudest part.
Right.
So
So
you can't base
theoretically-
it off the soft.
Now, he's got 3 oranges, is that too much gain?
here's the chorus. So this is the loudest part of the song, so yeah, it's a little too much. A little orange isn't bad, but a little less.
So if you could get basically to maybe the first or the second orange, you're in great shape.
Yeah, yeah. Man, the headphones are rocking. And then now you can unmute it and turn the fader up a little bit. Yeah, so you don't need a lot.
That's why you do some zero them out.
Right. Well, and that's why you do gain first before turning it up, because if you already have the fader up and you're adjusting the gain, it's gonna get really loud.
Talk about those people holding their ears.
Right.
The little old
Did you
ladies
understand
from the
that,
president
Ethan?
up there, I can picture them now.
Okay. Yeah, turn it all the way down.
Hey, Jonah,
You're an expert now, brother.
Right.
you gonna clean yourself?
Of course, you've got Jackie Williams that sits right here. You could have it where everybody out there is going, ah, and she's going, I
So
can't
that's a
hear
good
it.
question.
listen,
Why do gain first, and why get all this signal and only turn the fader up a little bit? Especially in older audio boards, every component has noise to it. And so if we get more signal, we get better signal integrity. And then every time we add an element like EQ, compression, all that stuff, every time we add something, that noise won't overpower the signal. we'll have more signal to get over that noise.
I just noticed that sounded really good. When you crank that
Yeah.
up, the sound quality was really good.
Well, and maybe, because every once in a while, we get a buzz in the system.
There could be a couple things for buzzing. Some buzzes are that noise. That's more of like a, but when you get like a bzzz, that could be what we call a ground loop or a ground buzz. And so that's what the direct box does, is it has a ground lift, it adds grounding or lifts it, takes it out to make sure that the.
You don't get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because electrical systems will cause that a lot.
Yeah, we have backgrounds.
You know, I feel that.
What do I feel like Tech is going to be asking for a budget this year?
Hey, man, we always need more budget.
I have lots of money right now anyway.
I always wish the tech budget just rolled over. Like some years, I spent $5. Oh, this year we're going to spend a couple thousand, you know.
Well, that's okay. We know the guy, so.
Right, you know the financial guy.
You may not want that. You may go wandering off and screaming in the sunset.
Anybody else want to have their due gain physically?
try.
Yeah, go ahead. But the main question is, okay, so you're setting up the gain. Are you saying equal gain from floor monitor to stage? To main, to floor monitor? Is that equally?
I don't understand that question.
So,
Floor monitors are down there, the mains are up there.
Right.
Is what you set there going to be equal to both?
yes, this is before it hits monitors or the mains.
What do we, okay.
So if you're thinking about like a channel strip, have you ever seen an old analog soundboard with all the knobs and little buttons? And the first thing that the signal hits on top is the gain. And that's the same thing with this. That's the first thing we're adjusting. That's the first thing it hits. So doing that adjusts everything, the monitors.
But you may want to go over how to do it
We'll go-
individually.
Yeah, we'll go over
'Cause they don't
adjusting
always
monitors.
need to be the same.
Yep,
In fact, it's more likely they're not going to be the same.
Well, but, okay, so the gain affects both things.
right.
But the level may have to be different.
Well, whenever you
Ish.
do the slider, does that,
The slider only affects the mains,
okay.
the house, not the monitors. Although we could talk about ways to do that.
Okay. So then we would have to adjust the monitors separately.
Yes. But I will say this, like at Hazelwood, when we have different singers every week, so we have the monitor level set, by adjusting the gain, we don't have to reset monitor levels because the gain is doing that for us and we're getting that consistency already, if that makes sense.
And the floor monitors are the ones that are going back to the
Yeah.
players.
The two bottom ones.
Yeah.
Okay. And so most of the time, we would actually want those lower and not as high as
If
the
they're too
mains.
loud, you get the sound of feedback in here, and you can
Right.
also, you can literally turn the mains off.
Right.
Yeah, and we've had that.
And we've had that.
Mm-hmm.
I think even while you were here, because
You
remember
noticed
you
about
shut them
that.
all off that
Yep.
one time.
Yep.
And so that's what you don't
Use
want.
in ears.
It's important, because when I'm preaching,
We want to shut them off anyways?
I don't want to hear them.
Oh,
He's like, I want to hear myself.
We don't put the monitors, the floor monitors on the.
All right, well, I think it would be beneficial if like we all
Yeah.
did the gain, and then I guess we're gonna get the monitors at some
Yeah.
point.
Go for it. Who's next?
Most of us are using the Avion, doesn't the monster's not gonna do it.
Avion?
Yep, the gain affects everything.
everything. I wrote that down. I got it.
It is the first thing you do. It affects avions, it affects monitors, it affects reverb, it affects
Live stream.
live stream, everything. That's why it's so important. And that's oftentimes where people screw up.
We need to put that on a poster. The gain affects
Everything.
like
I expect to see it right, yeah.
the shirts.
There we go. We'll have tech team shirts and that's all it'll say.
Now, some, the number isn't important on the gain. Some things, they have a lot of signal coming in. Some things don't have a lot of signal coming in. What if you get all the way turning up the gain and you still don't have enough signal? Well, two things. One, either the source isn't putting out enough, so like a guitar, like you could ask them, hey, what's your level at on the guitar? And they might say 50% or something, halfway, or.
Turn it up.
Yeah, I usually ask for 80%. That 100% they might overload their own electronics, but asking for 80% gives good integrity, and then enough while you can, and if you need to go up from there. Sometimes, like these condenser mics, you don't necessarily need to get them all the way up to that orange, as long as you have good signal coming through.
And then you get your volume through the slide on the volume.
Right. And if you notice the sliders are consistently way too low, the way to fix that is you turn the amps down in the back. And then the sliders will go higher. That's how you fix that.
Oh, it's muted.
Here you go.
Okay.
Questions?
Nope.
All right, next.
Who next?
Tony, where are you?
I'll go. I mean, we're all doing it, so. All right. Is it going?
Solo button.
It should be,
Oh.
Solo button's on.
maybe.
Wrong solo.
Oh,
And we
wait.
have
Oh, you had
monitors
it on
in a
already.
different space,
It needs to be
right?
on.
Like on there.
So yeah, you might have to, there's a select button, you might have to push that oftentimes to see the channel come up, and then the solo. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Been doing a lot of weddings, so I have tons of wedding music, but I was like, well, worship music, where's my?
I'm feeling good about
Down
one
at
now.
Windsor, nobody ever sits in the booth. Well, they preset it and then they forget about it.
Questions, comments, concerns?
One guy's there, he actually said.
I mean,
practice.
I've done stuff on these boards before, but I also come from the school of, did the gain stuff on the knobs.
One
and
guy was gone and they had.
Analog's the
gal
best
come
place
in
to
with a
learn
guitar,
first, but
And I was back
Kind of way
there.
of thinking.
The congregation could not hear her sing the songs.
I don't think I messed it up too much.
Was solo
Oh,
supposed to
that's
be
really good.
left on?
Hey,
you
Joe,
can, yeah.
while they're doing that, you said something about having their instruments at 80%. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
So like volume knobs on keyboards or guitars, all those have individual volume controls.
Like my bass has two pickups.
Except like the dulcimer.
Just back it off from the, all the way up.
Yeah. When they have their own independent volume, you ask them to turn it up to a certain
Yeah,
point.
Dulcimer doesn't have it, so you're going through a mic.
Dulcimer's
then-
going through a mic, yeah. And Jared's going through a mic. Because he won't take the guitar to the place to get it fixed.
It's clean.
Right.
Over there.
And they will complain around here.
Saturday morning,
Um,
he'd be up.
Yeah, so anything with an individual volume control, and then you want to ask them, don't touch it.
Yeah, once you said it.
Right.
It's like the old, what was that? The infomercial, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
I hope it's stopped.
This is
That was
horrible.
prominent.
All right, next. Jim?
This
Tony,
was
you want to do it?
one of the 5 songs on this playlist.
I've done it, that's right. I just reorientate my thinking, but I've done this before.
Is there
That's what I do,
saying we
actually.
should have the amps.
I just don't do it
at-
quite this way.
You're saying you turn it down or whatever, is there a generic
Yeah, no.
thing with our?
Can you tell by
I think,
sound if
I
it's too
think
loud
they're
or
1,000 watt.
I mean, it kind of depends on, you can't really tell with recorded music. You kind of need to look on Sunday. It's about where your faders are set. If they're set too low and you want more, because here's the thing with the faders.
More control back here.
Right, here's the thing with the faders. If you look, they go up they're kind of increments, but they're exponential. So it start at the bottom, a little movement is adjusting 10 decibels or dB, versus up here, a little movement adjusts only 1. So you don't, if you're down here, living down here, you don't have fine movements and adjustments.
So if you move it, you're really exploding it.
Right. Versus if you're more living up here, like -5, -10, you have a little more fine adjustment.
What's the effect on the trim control? Is that something you need to use for finer adjustment?
Trim, so that's a good question. What's the difference? Gain is electrical and analog versus trim is digital. So it takes the signal and it digitally makes it louder or digitally makes it softer. You want to do gain before trim. Trim's just an added thing. You can turn it up more or turn it down more, but
That's small increments too.
yeah, theoretically, you could even turn it sideways, and it's really weird.
Is that something also, if you,
What's the purpose of trim?
if you adjust,
Yeah, finer adjustments, but I almost never use trim.
Oh, okay.
That's primarily 0.
Right. It's also digital, so if you have any noise in the signal or anything, like it's going to bring that up too, so it doesn't do much.
and it's the same, it affects everything.
It's like a digital zoom on a camera. It's real
Yes.
grainy when you zoom in.
Yes,
Digital zoom on
yes,
a camera.
exactly.
Thank you, sir, I gotta go.
Yeah, that was the most important part.
That was what I needed to know for my purposes.
Oh, cool.
See you, Ernie.
Take care.
Ernie,
so yeah, so
do you
that's
know when
gain.
you'll be back?
I got tomorrow, and that's supposed to be it.
Okay.
Supposed to be it.
Uh-huh.
Going out with a bang.
Looking forward to it.
Questions on gaining or the most important step? If you look along the screen, you'll see the different parts of the channel. So we have like the home, then we have the input, then we have gate, which we probably won't talk about that. We have EQ, we'll talk about that in a second. Compression, it literally goes down the channel. There's a couple inserts for effects and stuff like reverbs and different things. And then this channel with the half circle, this is the main channel. All of these should be set at that 0 mark. But theoretically I did that already, but
Yeah, we haven't changed much.
yeah. And then at the bottom you have all your sends, so like monitors, the live stream, the reverb and stuff. So those are called auxes or buses.
Now, you're on that one channel still right now.
The one channel just going down.
So if we were looking at that, that would be because we're hearing something wrong on live stream. We can't figure out where it's coming from?
Yeah, if you want to adjust this channel's volume in the live stream, you can do that.
Okay.
In regards to EQ, gotta love touchscreens
Seriously.
But they need to be cleaned.
when they work. That's
I was thinking the same thing.
So hopefully you understand the general principle of EQ. You turn up the lows if you want more bass.
Just like your car.
Right.
Generally speaking, we probably won't do that except on like a Wednesday night. We never doing something.
Yeah.
Something was way out of whack.
I like a lot of bass in my
Is
voice.
there,
I was gonna say, it might be something we look at for drums.
is
though, to get that
equalizer,
bass.
equalization
More.
Are there generic thoughts of where you put treble or the bass, depending on if it's a mic, or whether it's a guitar or a keyboard?
Yeah, so we can talk
or back,
about
or,
some of those
drums?
strategies. I cannot stand those headphones.
Yeah.
We can talk about those strategies. So yeah, like with EQ, you can pull it up. We'll be on we need a rockin' song. So you can drag it. There's also these things where you can select the frequency. You can select the frequency, sweep.
Oh, yeah.
Is there preset EQs that are like generic for certain applications?
There can be, but the problem is every room is different, every sound system is different.
So are the circles different instruments?
Different.
Different bands that you can control. The nice thing about this, on an analog board, you can't always choose what frequencies you're adjusting. The nice thing about this is they have what we call sweepable frequencies, so you can pick whatever frequency you want to adjust.
Yours is stereo, it has like low, mid, high, you turn dials for mid, high, low.
Oh, yeah, I know how to play with things, I just,
Right, there you
You're still
go.
on one channel.
okay.
It's the same channel, low, mid,
But he went this way.
Yeah.
Why are there all the circles?
So like you can have different, you can take out different things.
Aren't they tied from left to right, bass to treble, or is it not that way?
Yes and no, you don't have to do that.
No, because he took that and went all the way across.
Yeah.
Right, and that when you drag something from there, what does it change? A tone? Is it a mid-range tone, or?
Well, you can select what tone it changes. That's the thing. Any of these circles, you can go pretty much anywhere, and then you can either add,
So it pulls out
that pulls it up, or we can completely subtract it.
so it's various frequencies in the sound.
Right. And so, like, you can have it go really bright, or you can take all the highs out.
There's mud.
Right, there's mud. Exactly. So each one of these circles has a gain, which is you're adding or subtracting. There's something called a Q, and here I'll show it. I'll go the other way. The Q determines how wide that band is, so you can make it really skinny to pinpoint a frequency, or you can make it really wide to cover a lot of frequencies.
So when we say frequency, we could be like, you're talking about those higher tones or the lower tones? Okay.
Yeah.
So, because, yeah, you going this way has messed with my mind a little bit. Like, I can understand, like, those circles over there are bass tones, but that's not really what's going on.
Don't get too hung
Right.
Okay, I won't.
up.
Probably.
It's just like,
But I appreciate you thinking I can.
it's having multiple options to select multiple frequencies. That's all that was.
No, I understand. I guess I'm just trying to identify like what up there would I consider a frequency, and I know it's like things blending together, but
So yeah, like, I mean, if you're new to EQ, the easiest way to think of it is low versus high. And start there and just do bigger adjustments.
Like you were talking about the drums, you want the low end, you turn up that low.
Right, right.
yeah. Like I said, it was this that just
Yeah.
messed with me.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
well, you go
I don't
with
understand.
Now, in advanced audio world, we do have an EQ concept called subtractive EQing, which means that instead of boosting everything and just going really high, because that will affect the gain structure, which we talked about, instead of doing that, we can subtract something else.
Sure.
So if we want more highs, well, we can just subtract the lows. Does that make sense? And then we'll get more highs by, instead of going over and cranking up the highs, because before you know it, your EQ is gonna just
It's
keep
gonna be
creeping
really-
up,
yeah.
up and up.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
He went to lean against the door, and it was unlocked.
Not a wall, the door.
I need resistance.
You asked about specific EQing, so if a voice sounds really muddy or muffled, we have technical sound words: muddy, muffled, boxy, all that stuff. What you can do, this will work better with a mic. Some frequencies, check. Adjust gain, there it is. Let's say there's not enough highs in the voice, because I sound wonderful. We can go around 5 or 6 K with our frequency, and we can turn that up a little bit, and now you hear almost beautiful. Yes. And now I'm more intelligible with the words. Or if the voice sounds too boomy and bassy, you can take out some of the low end, and now it's very, airy. So, yeah, like with vocals, if I can't tell what they're singing during worship, I turn some of those higher frequencies up a little bit. Just a small boost to see if it becomes more intelligible. And then sometimes taking out some of the lowness helps.
Would you do that also, like during the sermon, for the pastor's voice? Or adjust on that
You
kind of a thing?
can, it kind of depends. So with like vocals and singing, it's a little different for me because you have a band behind you versus a pastor speaking.
Right.
He's one person, usually not a lot of stuff going on. And in this room, there's we're close and there's reflections, and so you won't need as much of that, but you can.
I want to sound like Barry White. So, big expectations tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that.
I'm going to say that.
Questions on you?
So, like, I was listening to the live stream Sunday, and we're working on making that sound better, but I still feel like Johnny's voice, there's something off with it. It's fuzzy, which is not one of the technical terms listed.
I mean, it's close enough.
Like the balance was better this week, and I think you could hear everything better this week, but I still feel like his voice is weird. And so I don't know, would that be a place where we would start adjusting?
His mic was too hot. It's what it sounded like it's too hot. It's like pushing.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
but not all the
That's what
time.
it sounded like. It was muffled.
Yeah, so like if it's too loud, it can clip or distort,
Yeah.
and then it gives some warmth and fuzziness to it. That can happen.
But he's not on the pedal, he's using a regular mic. So we get far away from or close to it, matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like you can definitely tell because
Proximity, yeah.
it'll go in and out. But as far as like when, like Mary Ann comes through pretty clear. But I just noticed this last week, like the balance of the instruments was much better. It really was. And I know Jim did some work on that, but
Yeah, the drum sounded better.
Does reverb have a lot to do with
It
singing
can.
voice on it, with it?
It can. Sometimes reverb can add a lot of mid unclarity to the voice. But I wouldn't say it becomes fuzzy or distorted because of reverb.
if there's time at the end,
Yeah.
if you'd be willing, I'd just like for you to listen to it a little bit
Yeah.
and see if there's a place to fix. But it doesn't need to take place right now.
Yeah, the only thing with EQ is it adjusts everything, so,
This is something that like Wednesday night, that should be said, and we should not be messing with it. Like, as far as Jim and Braden tend to be the soundboard people, they're the ones who are gonna be doing the most work with that, and really Jim, and or Tony, because Tony does it on Wednesday
Right.
too. But the rest of us, that's not gonna be a place we focus
right,
when we're trying to survive.
yeah. So yeah, let's talk about monitors next. Over here, in this section of the board now, we have a button called Bus Master. There's 16 buses. And then there's these little arrows down here that you can scroll through them. So on this first bus, we have the monitor, and the bus is just an extra mix that you can use, so it's separate from the house mix.
What does bus mean in layman's? Is there a reason?
An auxiliary send
They really-
bus,
I
I
should have called it Beast, just so people
Beast.
I thought bus was like a, I thought it was a bus with a bunch of people on it, like a bus with, I don't know, a bunch of different signals.
Yeah.
So you said that's different mixes?
Yep, they're separate mixes from the main.
Why would we have separate mixes?
Well, like, you don't want the monitor to be the same as the main, because
Oh,
you don't need it.
It's other
Or
things.
live stream.
Yeah, or the live stream, yeah, you don't necessarily need that to be,
You pick and choose what you want through each one of them.
Yeah.
right, and you can set it individually. So that's really nice.
And that's where if we're getting feedback in the mic, like especially if Blake is playing up there, we would turn down the monitors.
You can.
So that there's not as much feedback in the mics.
If his mic is in the monitor, if the mic's not in the monitor,
Then don't do it.
then the feedback's either from somewhere else, like the mains, or, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, there's only so much to do. If there's feedback and you're like, well, it's your channel, you might not be heard today until we figure it out,
Yeah.
especially during service. So on every channel at the bottom, there's these sends. I hate this on and off button, but you'd want to make sure it's on. And if I wanted to send this mic to the live stream, I'm on that channel, I'm down at the bottom, I turn it on, then I can increase that volume to a point that I like it. Usually 0 is the standard, but it's only, you kind of adjust it how you need to.
And how do you know which channel that's affecting? It's numbered, or is it don't?
The one that's chosen.
The ones
So-
select.
Yeah,
What
so
does that
I'm
mean?
selected on that mic that we were using already.
But
And then,
you were saying like if I wanted that mic to be on live stream.
yeah. Yeah.
So how would I know this is live stream and not in the
Oh.
sanctuary? Ah, it's up there.
Up there, it says, you can name them.
Sneaky, cheeky monkey you. I see.
You can name them. You'll also see it says B9, which is bus 9, which is the live stream here.
The 9.
Let's do the monitor.
But it's definitely not.
So say I want this mic in the monitor, not the mains. I'm on this channel, I've selected the channel. I go all the way to the bottom, and these are the bus sends.
What did you click on to get to that?
This
It's the bottom
is the
screen.
bottom,
Okay.
all those little fader thingies.
So then I would have to find the monitor and raise that.
Right, so you see front monitor there.
It's the first one.
The first one makes it really easy.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, there's others that have the level up, but it's not on, so. like,
Yes.
This mic is not being heard on live stream.
Right,
When I look at
currently.
that.
Currently, yeah.
Now it is.
I see.
Yeah,
No,
like if
it's
you don't
not.
hear an instrument, let's say dulcimer, that's because it's probably not turned up for live stream, the dulcimer signal, or the dulcimer channel.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, so I turn it on. Ooh. I hate that too. You gotta kind of select that.
You have to select what?
That, like, you see the little, see how it kind of highlights it?
Yeah.
You gotta select
Doesn't
that.
do it on the on button.
It's annoying. Some things are really intuitive, some things are not. And then you can turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. And now I'm on the monitor.
That's the only knob that does it, middle knob.
Until I break your brain.
That wouldn't take much.
It's already.
I survived May, so
You ready for me to break your brain?
Yeah.
You can also do this another way.
I'm a 24-year veteran teacher. Go for it, try.
You can push select on the monitor.
Uh-huh.
See how all that changed? That's fine.
Yeah.
And then there's this SOF flip. It's called Sends on Fader. And then now I can adjust the fader for it to be in the monitor.
Oh.
It's not in the monitor. And then it's flashing to tell me I'm on Sends on Fader.
So basically, the faders become the bottom.
Yeah, the fader becomes the control for the monitor.
Yeah.
Good. That usually breaks a lot of people's brains.
No, if I ever did it, I'd forget to shut it off, but
That's why it's flashing.
doesn't matter.
Turn on flash.
That early in the morning, I'd be like, why is that stupid thing flashing? What does that mean again? Stop.
So yeah, that's the monitor. Now something important to know
Now,
about.
why is that flashing up there
What's
on the screen?
Oh, because it's soloed.
Solos on.
Oh,
Solo's on. It's to tell you that you can click that and it turns off all the solo buttons.
ah, okay.
It's great.
That's
It's a
nice.
great button.
Multiple options to do lots of things.
Yes.
Great.
Right.
It flashes. Anytime you see flashing,
Right.
that's bad.
Well, maybe.
Danger, danger, danger.
For Rhonda, it's bad.
A concept to know about monitors. Here, Ethan, turn the mic up in the monitor. Show me you've been listening.
I can
Turn my mic up in
tell you the
monitor.
answer already to that.
Turn my mic up. Wait.
In the monitor,
In the monitor.
no pressure.
No.
Mm-mm.
Not even a
Actually, I mean, you were right. There's a third way to do it.
Oh my God!
That's about it. So remember, we have to select the monitor first, and then we could go over here to do it, but you gotta unmute it. Yep, there you go. Check.
So when you do
There you
it that way, you technically don't have to turn it on the screen then.
Right.
Okay.
Unmuting.
Unmuting is basically
Unmuting
turning it on.
turns on.
Okay.
Ooh, we're rocking out. Well, this will be something for you all. When it comes to doing these buses, there's this idea of pre-fader versus post-fader. So pre is before the fader and post is after the fader. You'll see some of these say tap and the others say post at the top here.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-fader means whatever I do in the house will not affect the bus, will not affect the monitor. But if it says post, like it does on the live stream, if I change it, if I adjust it in the house, it does affect the monitor.
Oh, it does?
It does affect it.
Is that good?
It's good for the live stream,
Okay.
yes. And this is why gain is important, because if we have the consistency in the levels, then we'll be adjusting the mains for a good mix, and that will theoretically also adjust the live stream for the good mix. And the nice thing about this is if you look at the live stream, you can adjust the different levels, but then if, say there's an electric guitar solo that you need to turn up because he's not playing loud, but you want to hear it in the house, if you turn it up in the house, it'll also turn it up in the live stream, so you don't have to do like 2 jobs at once.
Okay, you just made a big jump. So, I'm
Yeah.
gonna rewind there
Yeah.
for a minute.
So we can set this up so that what we're doing in-house will directly affect the live stream, and we can be more dependent on what we're hearing here, that it's going to sound like what they hear on.
Ish, to an extent.
Okay,
It still will take some adjusting, because you can still adjust individual levels before, it's kind of like a pre-level, but then if I turn it up higher, then it will go higher.
so we need to set something on live stream pre-level?
Yeah, so
And then
like,
set the bus to post, so that adjustments we make in-house affect the live stream.
that's what I do, yeah. And that's how it's set up currently.
Does that make sense, Jim?
Yeah, whose brains are?
Because that seems like that would be a lot easier on Brayton.
You don't have the chance to set it up too much. We'll set it up on Wednesday night and just check it Sunday morning.
Yeah, but if we set it to a post and we do make adjustments in-house, that would change live stream.
You still have to hear the mix, because you don't know how everybody else is playing, if your adjustments make sense online. It could be different. It
To an
sounds great in
extent,
here, and online could be totally different. Well, not totally, but it could be different. So,
To-
I mean,
yeah.
you can't just say one size does not fit all. It can often be very close.
Right, and that's what we're going for, because
Right.
we don't have somebody else just mixing it.
Well, it has been different. What was going on streaming was not the same that you were
Right.
hearing in
Right.
here.
Right.
Up to now, we
Right.
have some of that.
So ultimately, you're saying like, down the road, that's what we want to do. Like Wednesday, when there's practice, we want to kind of set some live stream levels. So, okay, I'm trying to picture this in my mind. So Wednesday, if things are going the way they're going, we'll have half the people who will be here on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Or we'll have Johnny and Ernie and maybe Mary Ann. And then you get Blake and sometimes Jared and sometimes Steve and maybe even Tim on occasion who can come in. So when we do our gain sound check, like we have things set for live stream, we have things set for Wednesday. We load that. We do our gain sound check
Right.
for everybody. Now, is that affecting the live stream?
Gain? Yes.
So that is changing what we did on Wednesday also. Will it?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
So then,
I don't know any way around that.
no, that's fine. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. So that's not, so even our sound check is now post, and it is going to affect the live stream. So then anything we do is now affecting the live stream if we stay in post.
yes, to an extent. Not everything, but most things.
Is there an advantage to do anything on Wednesday, or should it be done all Sunday morning? You know, as far as the sound check and all that kind of stuff and adjustments.
Gain should be set on Wednesday based on who's here. And then I would suggest making sure the monitors are set and the house mix is nearly set.
Okay.
And then if you have time, go and listen to the live stream feed on headphones or something to see if you like it. Here's the thing with the live stream, you gotta listen to it outside of church, like just during the week, and you gotta be like, okay, yeah, the drums are a little hot in the live stream, and so instead of saying I need to turn them down in the house, we go to the live stream, and then we just turn them down a little bit, increment just a little bit, and see next week, oh, did that sound better?
Until we get that sweet spot.
Right.
Gotcha.
With noise canceling headphones, I thought the guy said noise canceling headphones, you could do it live.
You can, noise canceling headphones don't cancel all the noise. That's the thing. And then second, headphones sound a lot different than an iPhone speaker or your car speaker.
Or a TV.
Or a TV.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Headphones, you're gonna hear the kick drum, you're gonna hear the bass more.
Right.
versus TV and your iPhone or whatever phone you got.
I have no phone.
One of these days, maybe. He's like, nope.
When you get the job.
There you go.
I told him he could get one when I got one.
I started off with a flip phone. It was great.
People are going back to those.
I thought about it. I was like, ooh.
I started off with a bag phone.
I had a cord attached to the wall.
I had one that only worked in the car.
This is off topic, but did you see this video of this like Gen Z person going, you know what would be a really great idea is if you took a phone and you just put it in a room in the house and it was like the central phone
Yep, I
of the
saw
house,
that.
and then like the split screen is this guy going, she's talking about landline. She's talking about landline. He's like, oh my gosh. And so I'm also kind of hearing, it's also because of some of this, it's really important that we are impressing upon people to try to be here as much as possible on
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because it makes everybody's job, it sounds like to me, a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, because then levels can get set better. Then obviously you get things happen, so you got to check things more often.
Right.
But then you're not kind of going cold at it on Sunday morning.
Well, and here's the other question, like, I mean, we've talked about even having one of us downstairs away and listening to it on live stream just to see if we could hear changes and stuff, but it's like you said, depending on what you listen to, it sounds different. So how do we like hit the sweet spot and know we're there?
Actually, let me look at something real quick.
Tell us if we have the sweet spot yet.
Well, because I mean, like visually seeing the game, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And like we've been talking about different perspectives, that game kind of flattens that out a little bit. A little bit. So, I mean, that's helpful. Is there something that can like visually, because, you know, you've been at our church, people have opinions. And we usually hear them.
What?
And it would be nice to, you know, to be able to talk to it a little bit.
Right. In regards to the standard, I mean, you kind of just gotta evaluate, okay, what's our audience and what are they listening to on the most?
Yeah.
There's some compression here to kind of hopefully glue some of that together. What are they saying? Now I'm curious.
Well, here's the thing. I think kind of the hard determination with some of this is you're going to have some people that it could sound anyway, and they're going to go, that was so good today. And then you're going to have people who nitpick about everything. And so I think it's like it's trying to find a common ground there.
It was too loud. I can hardly
Where I think we just have to kind of decide this is where we're going, and most people then will be okay with it, because I mean that's most churches. You can listen to some of the best churches, and at times it's like, you know. So I think it's just kind of finding that common ground between I don't really care what it sounds like because I'm just happy to be worshiping today, versus you know, I'm going to complain about everything.
I think it's two different things. Obviously, you want your best sound here for the people in here live in the sanctuary. Online streaming, you just don't want it cringeworthy, where they say, this isn't worth it. We're turning it off because it's terrible, you know. And so I think there's more forgiveness on the online streaming, but you want it to sound as good as possible.
You want it to be at least a decent representation, because I agree.
Right.
Anytime you're in here versus online, because I don't ever want us to necessarily get to a point where it's just so amazing online. People are like, well, that's a better experience than being here, you know.
Well.
But I agree. I think it's something where it's good enough that if someone's like, hey, I want to check out First Baptist Oakville,
Yeah.
and they get on like, oh, well, that's pretty good. Let's go check it out. Where if it's not a good representation of what we have in house at all, and they're like, ooh, you know.
I mean, otherwise they'll fast forward through the music, or they'll just scrap it all together and not even get to the sermon. you know,
Well,
if
people-
it's something.
I think that's probably
that's
better.
That's the thing, but
Yeah.
otherwise, that's what they'll do.
I mean, here, let's be honest, I don't have, you know, visions of grandeur or anything. If the music isn't what it needs to be, it doesn't really matter how good I am or poorly I am. I mean, good, if they like the music, they're gonna stick around. I mean, that's more of a draw for people. And so, and how do people check churches out now? They go online
online.
first,
Yep.
so.
Well, what I don't understand is that if the board the house mix represents live stream, how is Johnny's vocal so much out of whack on live stream and it's not out of whack in here?
At that point, then you need to do like that pre-level adjustment on the live stream, so you can go to the live streams thing itself and turn it
I
down.
mean, is this basically
Did you
what it
listen
is now?
Sunday?
Yeah.
Cause Jim did some of
So
that
can we
work,
look at, are we able to look
Wednesday?
at what it is at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and you could tell.
Oh, no, but it's still up there.
Was
Well,
it speaking or was it singing?
Singing. All right.
I don't think it was, like, I don't know that the balance was off as
Well, no, I'm just
much,
talking about in general, though.
but he sounded
I'm just talking about in
fuzzy.
general. He was saying that the house mix should be pretty much the same as the live stream mix, right?
Not necessarily the
Yeah.
same, but
He's saying that
But if you adjust here.
He said, once you get the balances where it is, then when you do something in here, it'll adjust
yeah.
if you set
incrementally
it,
on line.
If you set it correctly.
yeah, if you
Right.
set it to
But you gotta
post.
find that balance and get that first.
Right.
Because I thought at our meeting, Braden had said there's a switch that goes to live stream and then he can make adjustments there, and then we would have to switch back. But Jonah's saying there's a faster and easier way to do that.
He was talking about the SOF.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was just doing it for live stream, so that he could hear the live stream piece and fix it.
All right.
But what Jonah's,
What's your volume at on the phone? That sounds like clipping.
Yeah.
That's either here or it could be at that mixer over there or through the, there's a lot of places it could be.
okay, so that's not just a simple,
Could be.
I mean, is that a place where, like, even on the equalizer, you could pull something and
That's
balance
not
that out a little
EQ.
bit? Okay,
Um,
but do you hear what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
there's just
yeah.
a little bit,
yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. But yeah, so that's where the troubleshooting comes in of, okay, where is it being overloaded? Is it too much on the board, going out? Is it, because it also goes over there to another soundboard, and then it goes into the live streaming box.
Then you got
Yeah. And so
line
that's,
control there too.
so is there a way for us to, like, set that at a certain level and get that out of the play? Because nobody messes with that on
Can you
Sunday.
eliminate it? Is there a way to eliminate it? Go straight into it?
Because why would we, I don't
I
understand
feel
why
like
we
we
have to do that.
tried that one time, but something was funky.
Is that what it was?
I thought we had some buzzing
So,
or,
yeah, I think it was buzzing, yeah.
So is that just working as a ground?
I think at the moment, there was also something, we were doing something different too with that. We added something to that board.
Well, I know the hearing
changed it
assist,
if
the
you-
hearing assist goes through there. I think.
Oh, that's right. That's why we kept it.
Yeah, the hearing
But
assist.
again, it should be set at a certain place.
Yeah, nobody adjusts this.
Nobody adjusts
Yeah.
that, so then everything should be focused here.
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Unless this doesn't get adjusted and that gets pushed to where it should be, then it's gonna push this too much, right?
Right.
This would be good, but this
Right.
is still back at the old school setting.
Yeah.
So what I'm kind of getting is we just need to make adjustments week to week
Yeah.
until we listen back to it and go.
There's a
"This
lot.
sounded good."
Yeah.
It sounds to me, this is just not, oh, we're gonna fix it today.
Right.
It's gonna take us probably 2 or 3 weeks to make it small adjustments and really get it to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Right
Troubleshooting.
now, what we're just talking in here, we have the peak light is flashing.
On there,
Yeah.
what's that volume set at?
Well, I mean, it's like 50%.
50%?
Yeah, but just doing this, I get the peak light. The gain is right in the middle, so maybe if I turn the gain down, would that?
Yeah, I would turn the gain down on there.
That's assisted listening, Tony, that's all.
Turn the gain down here?
That's assisted
Yeah.
listening.
Oh, yeah, it's-
Box, that affect anything else?
Okay, yeah, now the peak light's not coming. Well, it is if I really bang it. Like, I can see the peak light.
But, okay, so, and here's another dumb question, I'm not in the waters. Assisted listening
This was up here?
is getting the same live stream gets.
No, I think it's getting same with the board kids.
Yeah.
So I think if you put the headphones on, is that kind of what they're getting?
So then why do we have that thing again?
Why do we have what thing again?
That thing.
It's for the assisted listening.
I can
I think you have to have it for
It
this.
broadcasts, it takes the signal and broadcasts it in antenna back to the unit.
I got it, okay.
This is a test, this is only a test. Can you hear me? Am I peaking over there?
Wireless transmit.
Can you see anything?
Yeah, I was peeking a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hey,
Yeah, hello.
none of us talk.
Good morning, Oakville.
No peeking.
Good morning, Oakville. Here, you get a couple of them in there. Check, 1, 2, check, check. Hello?
Say Reedy.
We don't get a whole lot
Check,
of
1, 2.
clapping in here.
Yeah. Off.
That's because we're Baptist, we have no rhythm.
So, the assistant weather has its own bus and mix.
It takes everything off the board. It puts in the board, goes over the two.
Need any more sound over
Basically,
there?
that's a volume level.
Check, 1, 2. Hello? Good morning, Oakville.
No, there's no adjustment.
Say Reedy.
Hello, you here to say something?
It
Ree-hee-hee.
takes whatever the board
Hey,
sees.
check,
gotta
1,
keep
2.
going.
Reese's Puffs, Reese's Puffs. Eat 'em up,
Wow,
eat 'em up,
look
eat 'em
at
up, eat 'em up.
Check,
They're
1, 2.
Reese's Puffs, Reese's
Hello.
Puffs. Eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up.
Hello, check, 1, 2. You still got peeking over there? Hello, clapping.
Got Reese's Puffs in my bowl.
Good to see everybody.
Check, 1, 2.
Happy birthday to me.
The headphone control,
All right.
the volume control. But they could have been moved to the wrong one.
Yeah, so.
On the box where the camera is, so is that volume's for the headphones though,
There's
right?
one, there's one,
Even all the
Ethan,
way
don't
down.
mess with stuff right now, please.
Maybe we need to look at
It's
that.
if it's too low, if it's
no,
off, and it was
so
one time, you get nothing.
Yeah?
On,
ducks
if
the
it's too
sound,
high,
so it's negative
you get too
20
much.
decibels.
It's a master volume.
So it ducks it by
Hello.
26
Okay,
decibels.
so we need, that's another
Sometimes
one.
it gets moved, and I'm probably by accident, because the headphone jack is right next to it. The headphone volume is right there, and it's right here. If you're not careful, what you're touching,
still wanna
you
see
move the wrong
this.
one.
Well, that's something we definitely need to tell Blake to be careful of.
Who all is using our in-ear?
Right now, it's strictly Bob,
Yeah.
strictly Bob. Yeah. I think occasionally Larry's used it, and occasionally,
Yeah, yep. You can
other
still see
gentlemen's
it
use
now,
but
like.
maybe it's Bob.
I didn't have, I just barely had that when you were over.
Use it almost every Sunday.
With the way it was set.
More people could.
Yeah.
So we need to get some.
Well, I've tried to get Margie
Yeah.
to use it, but she got new hearing aids and she said it helps. So,
I mean, you don't think
You can use it with the hearing aid, because
Oh, okay.
this thing don't go in the ear.
well, that's what I told
It
her.
goes over the ear.
Should be.
So Bobby has hearing aid, he
Maybe I
uses
should
it
take a
fine.
picture of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't argue with her. She's almost 102.
It's not arguing, it's just available. Well, I got
What you
8
thinking?
of them, I'm only,
He just wanted to play.
I got 4 plugged in back there.
It's a little
I
playground.
got 4 of them. yeah.
All right, what's next?
Questions about live streaming? Any of that?
Hello.
You have,
I just like that idea better. I think that's gonna be easier for us to,
oh, it's not in the mains.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
than what I was thinking
did I
from the
do?
meeting.
Yeah, I think making those adjustments, we're gonna see a huge
Oh, yeah, it's in,
difference.
Yeah.
yeah, it's in there.
Hello.
Just the EQ's a little funky.
Hello. Hello. Ooh.
Jonah, do we do a gain check for live stream?
No, I mean,
So the gain is just,
Ethan, stop. Ethan.
because it affects everything.
right.
So it's.
I mean, the person at the live streaming station should check the audio levels during rehearsal, just to make sure that they're still high enough, but they're not too low or too loud.
Let me ask you a question. If you were setting this up back here,
Yeah.
do you think that should be next to the board?
No,
Hi.
It doesn't matter?
no, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's not like we don't talk to each other.
Well, I know everybody hears you when you talk to each
That's
other.
not true. That's the
I
people
mean,
out in the hallway.
it depends who's doing double duty. So like if I'm trying to